My name's Peter Davis. I work for a company called simpleshow. Some of you may have heard of us before. I see a few familiar faces in the crowd, so hopefully that is the case. But if you haven't, we are an explainer video company. So we produce explainer videos. And in the vast majority, we help people. The vast majority of cases, we help people to reduce complexity by harnessing the power of animated explainer videos. So we work with large organizations to take a long, dry, or delicate subject, break it down to the bare essentials, and deliver that message via the means of a very unique style of video, which I will come on to show you as we go through the presentation. I'm just going to do a bit of background about who we are, and then we'll move on to talking about emojis, which is hopefully why you're all here today. So we have about 10 offices globally. We started in Germany with 2 guys in a basement, and we grew to be over 100 employees in just 9 years. So it's been a success so far, but we're hoping to continue that success here in the UK. We've been in the UK for about 2 years now, in a London office in Shoreditch. As I say, we have about 9 years of experience. These are some of our clients in the UK. We're very lucky to have worked with some of these leading organizations, and this is just to give you an indication of the variety of industry that what we're trying to do, so reducing complexity, is relevant in all different industries. Everybody's overcomplicating things. Everybody's trying to make the most amazing technology. But what we try and do is reduce everything back down to the bare essentials and make it easier for people to understand everyday situations. So that's the jargon out of the way. We're going to have just a bit of fun to kick off with. Some of you may have had a go at playing this type of thing before, but we're just going to do the emoji challenge, which hopefully you guys are all on board with. I'm a big film fan, so what I've done is put together some film titles, and they're spelled out using emojis. So if you can all just play along with me, humor me, that would be great. We'll kick off with a nice easy one. Any ideas? Spider-Man. My favorite Avenger as well, he's the coolest. This one's a bit harder. So we've got a star, we've got a gun and a bomb, which are used traditionally in Star Wars. Yeah, there we go. So you see where I'm going with this. This one's a bit harder. You have to think a bit outside the box on this one. So time going that way. Yes, you're an expert. So moving on. This one's easy. Way. And finally, yay, good film. So that's just a bit of fun to get everybody awake, hopefully, and thinking on the ball. And so what are emojis? Where did they come from? Why have they all of a sudden come out of nowhere and become the fastest growing language in the UK today? It's quite amazing how they've risen to being nothing to being used in everyday life. And so I'm going to practice what we preach, and I'm going to use a video, and I'm just going to show you a short video about where they came from, the history of emojis, and why they're so important in our everyday lives.
The rise of the emojis. What's the fastest growing language in the world right now? You might think it's English or Spanish or Chinese, but you need to stop thinking about words. That's right, the fastest growing language is that of the emoji. Emojis are an increasingly popular tool in online communication, particularly among the younger generations. They're so popular, in fact, that there's a movie being made about them. Their name comes from combining the Japanese words e, meaning picture, and moji, meaning character. You might even recognize some of them. There are the more obvious ones: smiley faces, sad faces, fist bumps, and hearts, and some that are more obscure, such as pizza slices and eggplants. But why are these images so popular? It's because they represent concepts and emotions far more simply and easily than words can. After all, we've been using pictures to explain things since the ancient Egyptians and cave people before them. Pictures transcend language barriers. Because they're often instantly recognizable, they take far less effort by the brain to decode. Think of how you can see a red circle, cross through, and the silhouette of a dog behind, and you know that it means no dogs allowed. Or how you see the floppy disk icon in a word processor and know that it saves your work even if you've never used a floppy disk in your life. Or maybe people are lazy, or maybe they like emojis just because they're fun. Either way, they're here to stay. What was the Oxford Dictionary's word of the year for 2015? Face with tears of joy.
So, that gives you a bit of background about emojis, where they came from. And that is true, and I'm sure many of you are aware that the Oxford Dictionary of last year was the smiley face with tears of joy icon, which I find quite astonishing. And it's come, again, as I repeat, it's come out of nowhere. It's over the last 2 years that these characters have been used and become so popular in modern society. So, why are these characters so popular? Why do we use them in text messages, even in PowerPoint presentations, when we're communicating with friends, colleagues, whoever it is? Think about this. If you're presented with a task, I don't know, of changing a radiator, I've never done that before, but if you're faced with a huge piece of text as to how you change a radiator and how you do that, or you could watch a video, like a 3-minute video on how the basics of what you need to do, what equipment you need, where you go for different equipment. I don't know what you guys would choose, but I, 9 times out of 10, would click on a video. But why is that? It's confusing to think, because if you think about it, text is just small icons, and they are actually images themselves, and they're arranged alongside other small icons to make words and then to make sentences. So why is it harder for us to consume text, and why does it take longer or more effort than it does to consume imagery or video? So our theory at simpleshow, and this is just a theory, we know that you perceive 80% of our environment through visual channels. And if you stop to think about it, when you're reading, there's a translating process going on in your head. So although it's natural to most of us, we learn reading from a young age, you're still working hard to translate whatever those images are. So you're having to think, okay, yep, that's that word joined up together, etc., etc. And then you form the sentence, and then you make sense out of what it is. So it's like subconsciously, you've got something going on in your head and you're working hard, even though you don't think it, because it becomes so natural to us. You're still doing it, you're still working hard. So subconsciously, you can drift out of a concentrated state quite easily. Whereas if you're watching a video, that may happen, yes, as well, but the instant feedback that you receive from imagery and from video is much stronger than it is from text, because there isn't that translating process going on in your head. And when we think about modern society and the fact that supposedly we now have a shorter attention span than goldfish, whether that's true, I don't know, but when I'm at the tube or when I'm on the train or sat at home watching a video, whatever it is, I find it really hard not to reach my phone and pick it up. And that's a really problematic thing if you're trying to communicate to people quickly about something that's really important. So you need to grab people's attention. So if we think back to thousands of years ago, when what was important for survival were 3 things. Can I eat that thing over there? or is that thing going to eat me? And how do I continue my species? Everything was based on the visual stimuli that we had around us. So we made decisions based on the imagery we had in front of us. There was no text, there was no spreadsheets, there was nothing boring to take our minds away from what was really important, which was survival. So we needed instant visual stimuli to then make a decision. Otherwise, you might have got eaten by a giant tiger or something like that. It's the same, it still happens today. If you see a spreadsheet, you don't think, that's really important for my survival. I need that spreadsheet right now. I just need it, I want it. Well, I mean, some people may think that. I don't personally. But we know that it's not essential for survival, even if it is really important. It's a really important information. It may be, but it's not that instant gratification from receiving that information. So, take this image as an example. What is it? It's a house. So that's what 9 times out of 10 people would say, which isn't strictly incorrect, but it's not also completely 100% accurate. What it actually is a series of orange lines joined together on a white background. But everybody says it's a house, which it is. But the reason for that is that we don't see with our eyes, we see with our brains. So human beings, us, people, are generally amazing at pattern recognition. So what's telling us that it's a house is our pattern recognition and our brain picking out visual stimuli that we've seen before and matching it with what we see now. So the chimney, the roof, the chimney, the front door, the shape. It's not what we see, it's what we process in our brain. And that's why we see objects in everyday situations. So faces, for example. Whether it's a CCTV camera that looks like it wants to kill you, or whether it's a fairly confused looking sink. He looks quite confused, I think. Or even just a mailbox smoking a joint. We see faces all the time, and that's again going back to pattern recognition. It's not, that is, again, it's a postbox, but we see a face because it's all about the visual stimuli that we picked up before instantaneously that we then relate back to new imagery. So, back to the original question, and what does this all have to do with emojis, and what does it have to do with how we communicate to people, whether it's our employees, whether it's our colleagues, children, whatever. In modern society, as I said at the beginning, everybody's distracted, everybody's online. So therefore, it's essential that you communicate to people. And it is quite sad, in my opinion, that we are all to the point now where we're not trying to solve that problem. We're trying to go around it and say, okay, we need to still communicate to our people, but rather than people having more time and there being a solution to that problem, we'll just go around and continue to communicate them and find different methods to do so. And so at simpleshow, what we do is use basic imagery, like you saw in the video example that I played through to you, because if you think about it, it's the same in your personal life as it is in the workplace, especially with the younger generation coming through. So to give you an example, if one of my friends, I don't know, tags me on Facebook in a post, a funny video, or says something funny about one of my other friends, which is usually the case, rather than saying haha or lol, which even those words are, very short, they're not proper English, I would probably use our friend face with tears of joy, because it's quick and my friend will instantly know what I mean, because they'll think, he's weighing himself laughing, I'm glad that. And it's the same in the workplace. If you can use basic imagery through video, in your presentations, in your workshops, whatever it is, and you can underpin your explanation, it's the same with the emojis. It's the rise of the emojis, rise of visual communication in everything that we do in modern life. And so if you can do that, and you can embrace the change that we're seeing in the rise of the popularity of image and icon-based messaging, then I think engaging employees will become much easier. And then you can follow up with more detailed information, with the in-depth training. But it's all about hooking people into that message and getting them on board and on side. And that's it. Thank you very much, guys.